Hello everybody, John 12 back here again with another video, and today is Tuesday night, and as always, I'm here with a Flash review. Today I'll be reviewing The Flash episode 13, titled The Nuclear Man. So today's all about Firestorm, so if you've not seen tonight's episode, definitely go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. Nevertheless, let's get right into the episode at hand. Now, obviously, this is a very Firestorm-oriented show that's obviously had some, various setups throughout the course of the last few episodes, of course, and, I think the biggest fault within this episode is that it has two conflicting things. It's kind of like the mid-season finale episode where it's like you have the epicness of the, reveal of Reverse Flash, and then the Reverse Flash versus Barry, which is awesome and epic. But it also has that tie-in where it's like, oh, because that episode was the last episode of the first half of the season. Not to mention it was December. It was the holidays, so of course they had to pack in some Christmas-esque stuff into it. And this definitely suffers from the same kind of thing. Like you can tell that this episode is definitely very, 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 very Valentine's Day oriented. I mean, like this show, with the exception of all the Joe and Cisco stuff and the Firestorm stuff, it's very into Barry's new relationship with Linda Park. And of course, if you don't know who Linda Park is, she's the girlfriend/wife to the Flash, but not Barry, Wally West, just so you guys know. Nevertheless, we continue to follow their relationship, and it was so cheesy. Once again, it's kind of like the last episode I reviewed. I'm not bashing it. I love the Flash, and I love how they've been bringing, the epicness and the darkness and the realism, but giving it a lot of comedic flavor and lightheartedness to the DC universe, and I like that. But did CW really have to do this with this whole relationship thing? I mean, God, it was so cheesy. Like, everything that went down, the flowers, the peppers. What's with the taco plate? I don't know. It's just so cheesy. It was just very, very CW cheese. And, it's like I said this in the last episode when they kind of did that karaoke, singing the Grease. And I stated that I'm not really big on superheroes outside of their superhero life. That's why I'm big into Batman, because Batman's always Batman. He's not, anyone else. But other characters suffer the dual identity thing. Superman has to be Clark every fucking now and again, and Barry has to be, he wants to start this new relationship with Parks, and that's cool. I get it. But did they have to just drench us with all this cheesy nonsense? It was just so... It's like, oh my God, he got her a flower. Just a little flower. Oh God, just leave me alone with that shit. But nevertheless, the bigger things that I personally really loved, which was the Cisco Joe stuff. Of course, Joe is now bringing in Cisco into his secret investigation of Nora Allen's murder. Of course, he's still trying to discover who truly did it. Of course, that was hinted at the mid-season finale where, Cisco mentioned to Joe that there were two speedsters that night upon her death. So, of course, they're trying to investigate that, so they go back to the house. And of course, we're greeted with some more cheese. I don't want to get into it, but spoilers... You know what? Just watch the episode, then you'll know why it's so cheesy. Just watch that. It's funny. I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's funny. But it's such an easy setup. Like, what is it? I thought this was a comic book TV show, not porn. I'm just saying. But anyways, they're trying to discover who was it there at that night. Who were the speedsters? They're trying to get down to the bottom of this. And it was pretty awesome and epic. And I really... loved the whole... It was just so... It kept escalating, and every single time you found out some more information, and some more, I don't know, it was just really good to see Joe and Cisco work together, but also see what really happened that night, and how can they really find some kind of new evidence to help out, Nora Allen's case, and of course, Barry's whole... family or whatever. So it was kind of interesting to get that. But on top of that, you of course have the Firestorm thing. Team Flash is obviously trying to find out where Ronnie is. They're trying to help out Ronnie. And of course, the flashbacks help out a lot because we get some good flashbacks to the origin of how Ronnie and Martin Stein became one and the same. So that was also really epic and awesome. I love the visuals of this episode. It was definitely really good. Really amazing visuals. The Nuclear Man, of course, Firestorm. It was just... I think he looked better in this episode, to be honest. And I think that's because we got a little bit more Robbie Amell into it. But overall, it was really good to finally have an episode dedicated to Firestorm because we, of course, had all these setups. We already knew it was coming, and it was good just to finally have that. But overall, I think it was too tied down with the whole cheesiness of the relationship stuff between Barry and Linda, and I don't know. I wasn't really big on that. But overall, very nice kudos to them for giving us some epic origins behind Martin Stein's character and how he was at Star Labs for specific reasons, and he had the Firestorm particle thing, and, he was there at the explosion, which, of course, morphed his body into Robbie's body, and now they're one and the same. Then, Martin Stein controls Robbie's mind, but, of course, it's Robbie's body, and, it's a whole bunch of epic craziness that I'm not going to really get into so much, but overall, I really liked it, and I don't know, I think the biggest thing that was great about it was that you introduced Martin Stein as an actual character instead of just having him be a voice, because that was kind of like one of the biggest things that I thought they were gonna kill the Firestorm character with, which is not giving Martin Stein any depth. And that was one of the biggest problems I had going into it. But overall, I think they did a great job where he's still in love with his wife. He wants to be with his wife, but he can't because of this whole Firestorm situation. And, the reasoning behind he was at Star Labs and his little interaction with Barry. I just think it was just good to have that kind of sequences. So overall, definitely kudos to them, and the actor who plays them is fucking awesome. So anyways, on top of everything, the grand finale of what happens in this episode, of course, Joe wants Cisco to obviously run the DNA samples that they discovered at the house, at the crime scene, with this new technology, so they can obviously find out who were the speedsters there. And of course, Joe thinks it's Harrison Wells, because we already know that Joe does not trust Harrison. But Cisco is, obviously he's in love with fucking Harrison, so of course he can't fucking do that. That's like, that's like screwing over your dad. You don't want to fucking do that. So overall, he tells him to go F himself. But of course, he still goes along with running in the DNA and discovers that the speedster who was there that night that left his blood at the crime scene was not Harrison Wells, but Barry Allen, which of course introduces time travel, folks. We already knew that time travel was going to be a big part of this show, but we now have a definitive answer that, of course, Barry Allen was there the night in his future self, not his kid self, of course. So, it's pretty awesome. Now, is Harrison Wells the definitive Professor Zoom / Reverse Flash? We all know that he's one of the Reverse Flashes, but is he the definitive Reverse Flash? I really don't know. It really all depends. It's a big situation that we're going to obviously get a definitive answer maybe by the end of the season or by beginning of next season. I don't know. But overall, time travel has been introduced to the Team Flash. So, yeah. And of course, based off the teasers for next week's episode, I can pretty much guess that majority of next week's episode will be centering around time travel and whether or not Barry Allen can do it. So, I think that's going to be an interesting case. But overall, back to the Firestorm case, obviously they can't discover a way to separate Martin Stein's mind and Ronnie's body, and Harrison discovers that, of course, that because of their interaction together as one, and them trying too hard to separate, is causing Ronnie's body to become basically a nuclear bomb. So he's basically going to destroy himself and take all of Central City with him. So that was a really big debacle, and they have this really epic scenario where, Ronnie escapes. He's trying to kill himself. Flash and Caitlin arrive to the scene. Spoilers. Try to help him out. They, Harrison and Cisco devise this little device to try and contain the situation and possibly separate the two. But of course that backfires and does not work at all. And of course Ronnie becomes nuclear and basically explodes. And it was quite sad. It's definitely one of the sad. I think this was the saddest. One of the many. I would put this at number 2 at the saddest moment on The Flash so far. The first one being the mid-season finale, where, he can't beat Reverse Flash and he sees Iris with it. That's my number one. But number two definitely is Firestorm exploding while Caitlin watches behind Flash, running away. So that's pretty much the second saddest ending. So overall, this episode was jam-packed with a lot of stuff. You had the cheesy nonsense, which, I was okay. I thought it was funny. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna, go too down with it. Of course, it's CW. Of course, they had to put in that fucking cheese nonsense. It's like, you go out on a date with me or I'm gonna eat this ghost pepper. It's like, come on, dude. What are you doing? You're an adult. You're a freaking adult. You're a freaking superhero on top of being an adult, and you're threatening this girl with a ghost pepper. What the hell? I don't know. Maybe it's just my personal issue with it. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about that. But overall, everything else was amazing. The visuals were great. I loved how they gave Martin Stein some more depth. And the Firestorm character and character arc through this episode was great. The nuclear explosion definitely was sad. I was, really depressed to see that. I was hoping that, obviously, the device would work. And he would become Firestorm. He could be part of Team Flash. I guess we're going to have to wait until later season to see that kind of nonsense. But overall, everything was great. I loved it. Joe still does not trust Cisco. Cisco and Joe are going to work together, but Joe still doesn't trust Harrison. And I guess Cisco may now kind of not trust him a little bit. I think it's definitely going to develop. That arc is definitely going to continue to develop. Especially now that we know that time travel is a factor, and Barry Allen does know how to time travel at some point. So I guess we're going to have to find out more on that. But overall, this episode was great. I give it a good 7 out of 10. I would have gave it more, but I'm just saying the cheesiness killed it for me. Like, if they cut down on the cheese, I get it. It's Valentine's Day. They got to fucking do it. But the ghost pepper, really? That's almost as ridiculous and absurd as the fist bump with Iris, the one that happened like a few episodes ago. That's almost as absurd. Maybe even more absurd. I'm just saying. But overall, very interesting episode. I can't wait to see what happens next. And of course, here comes the big issue: is what's going to happen. What's the future of Firestorm? Obviously, based off the post-title sequence, we discover that General Elling, of course, is back in action and wants to recover Firestorm's body and hopefully use him for his unexpected, unplotted yet unrevealed, situations. I don't know. Maybe he's going to use him as a weapon. Who knows at this point? But overall, as of right now, General Elling is going to use Firestorm. Now, is he going to brainwash him? I don't know. It's definitely strange. I don't think we're going to have a good conceptual, device and, we actually visually see this happening until possibly later in the season. But overall, everything that happened in this episode was great. I loved it. So definitely kudos for them to really dedicate just a strict overall episode to Ronnie Raymond / Firestorm. I just really liked it. But overall, in the comment section below, let me know what you personally thought over the course of this episode. I personally enjoyed it. The cheesiness could have been, cut down with a literal knife. But overall, everything else was great. The Firestorm stuff was great. The Cisco Joe team up was awesome. And I just can't wait to see what happens next. And now that Barry knows that he could time travel, I guess his training is going to go crazy. It's definitely going to be amped up to... you know what, at the end of the day, I don't even know what this means, though. I mean, does this mean that now that he knows that he can time travel, does that mean that Harrison Wells has to, change his game plan? Because now he doesn't have the full ability of his Speed Force. We already know that. The device on his outfit, of course, is now depowered. So how does this fit with his timeline? And how does this fix that? Now, Barry knows how to time travel, possibly by next week. What does this mean for Harrison Wells' new plan? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below what you personally think about the overall idea. But anyways, personally loved it. Let me know what you personally thought about the whole Firestorm situation. I loved it, but the cheesiness could have been cut down. But anyways, let me know. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. I hope everyone has enjoyed this Flash review. If you've not seen my Ray Palmer Atom suit breakdown / review, definitely check it out. And also check out prior episodes of The Flash if you want. And I'll be, of course, reviewing tomorrow night's Arrow episode. So, the Canaries. Yeah. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John 12.